gentlemen, the Four Seasons.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing great. I am glad that you could join us today. Thank you
Yeah,
so
I'm
much
glad
for
we could
doing
finally
that.
make this happen. It's a privilege.
Connor, you are taking part in this phenomenal show called Jersey Boys. I think a few of you guys may have heard of that show, I think. So, Connor, tell me a little bit about your role with Jersey Boys.
Hi, everyone. My name is Connor Lyon. I play Lorraine and a number of other characters in the show. I think I play about 20, well, somewhere around 15 to 20 different characters in Jersey Boys. Lorraine is my main role, and Lorraine is Frankie Valli's second love, sort of, after he and his wife, Mary Delgado, after they separate. And she is a reporter coming to do a story on Frankie and the Four Seasons, and then they have quite a spark and hit it off.
I love that. Now, how much of a challenge is it for you having to take on so many different characters? I mean, I know that's got to be, you're switching gears constantly throughout the show, playing all these different roles. What is that like for you?
It is a challenge, but it's a lot of fun, for me, to be constantly thinking, the costume change. Okay, what's my next thing? What's my next deal? But then you're constantly inhabiting somebody else's skin, so to speak. And so it's never boring. And that's kind of the beauty, honestly, of being an ensemble member. We may not necessarily get a lot of accolades that principals may get in a show, just purely based on visibility, not because of a lack of appreciation. But being an ensemble member is incredibly fun because you are constantly switching characters and constantly exploring something new and something exciting. So it is difficult. You have to be very on your toes and very present. But it's so fun. It's just so fun. It's like playing, just being a kid again, almost.
I love that. I love that description.
Yeah.
And honestly, when you start thinking about, yes, when you have the main characters of the show, they may be the focal point, but it's really important, I think, for a lot of people to remember what goes into bringing the rest of the show alive, especially with the ensemble. I mean, just thinking back to almost any show I've seen, the amount of costume changes, the amount of dance numbers you guys got to remember, the songs. I mean, the ensemble can show up in just about every scene in the show, and they're having to remember all of this stuff, remember all the moves, change costumes on a dime. So it's incredible. You guys are amazing.
Well, thank
Absolutely
you
amazing.
very much.
Um,
We kind of view it as like we are the foundation, especially the women in Jersey Boys. It is Jersey Boys, but the women play a very integral role in the story. And we think of it as we are the foundation from which these men could go on and succeed. And yeah, it's a privilege to get to do that and to get to be part of the story, and to then tell the stories of some of the people who may be in the background in this musical, but who have a very full life and rich inner world in their own way.
I absolutely agree with that. And the other thing too is you think about most guys that start bands, there's a whole lot of female motivation for a lot of those guys. Just
Yes,
saying.
absolutely. I mean, that's like the classic quote, isn't it? Behind every great man is an even greater woman.
Absolutely.
Take what you will. People have their own opinions of that, but that is definitely an opinion I hold in this show.
I love that too. Now, with a show like this, with the documentary style storytelling with this musical, I think it's really brought to life a story that a lot of people, especially younger generations, wouldn't realize that they can relate to. Just the way that you guys tell this story of Jersey Boys. What are your thoughts on that?
I've always thought that it was a really interesting way to structure this musical. I mean, Jersey Boys could have been created with the music of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons being so catchy and so iconic. They could have just made it back in 2005 when it was written, another jukebox musical. But by structuring it kind of in that documentary style, they've made a really great book with a really great story. And so we are able to see the inner workings in just like a really interesting way that I don't know, like you can't really consider it a jukebox musical in that way. So yeah, I mean, and I love the way that it's structured. It is Frankie Valli and the 4 seasons, and each member of the group has their own season. And in that way, you're getting to see all 4 perspectives of this same story, which I think is fascinating. And then again, you get to see the women and the role that they played.
Absolutely. Now, when we talk about like the iconic music, it's funny because actually yesterday when I was kind of prepping for this, I was sitting at a restaurant and I actually heard "Oh What a Night" come on
I'm
over the
sure you
speakers.
did.
I was like, oh my gosh, it's a sign.
The music is inescapable. It's inescapable, like in the best way. In the absolute best way, yes.
And so for me, like I walked around the rest of the day, bopping "Oh What a Night," and these songs are so iconic and they're so catchy, they're so memorable, but they are like most definitely earworms. They will stick with you long after. What song sticks with you when you are not in Jersey Boys mode?
That is so tricky because it's basically a different song every week. The one that really follows me around right now is "My Eyes Adored You." It's like this great, it's almost like a disco song, and then it's got these hints of R&B, and it's, one of Frankie's ballads. And I'm away from my family right now, being on the road, and so I'm thinking about people I miss that I'm far away from. It just goes to like the idea that these songs are earworms because they're so relatable. They're also catchy as all get out. And Bob Gaudio, the person who was also in the group, who wrote all of these songs, he's just a genius. And then going back to like earworms and songs you keep hearing over and over again, there are songs like "Beggin'" that was actually redone by an Italian rock band in the summer of 2021 that, I couldn't get away from, but it was like, I didn't want to. We were waiting to hear back from the producers about the tour going back out, like when it was safe, at post-pandemic. And funny enough, I went to a dance class and the teacher choreographed a combo to "Beggin'," that song. I had heard it over and over. It was a huge hit on TikTok. And we did that combo in class. And then a week later is when I got the call that we were going back out on tour, and they sent me my offer. And it's like the songs have a little bit of fate in them. Like, I don't know what these masterminds are doing, Bob Gaudio and Frankie Valli, but they know when to place they are a soundtrack to your life. And I think that's what makes them timeless. That everybody has that one relationship that they're like, God, I'm begging you to either take me back or to hear me, to listen to me. And then there's the relationship where you feel disconnected and you miss that person. They're timeless because of the message, because they're incredibly relatable. They're like the Taylor Swift of their time, in my mind.
That is so cool, and I have never heard anybody describe it that way, and I love that.
I'm a Texas girl. I, love a bit of country music. I understand you are as well. So, Taylor Swift to me is think what you want of her music. It's iconic songwriting. It's incredible songwriting in terms of its relatability. And I think the 4 seasons laid the path for her in some ways.
Oh, I could not agree more. Yeah. Now it's funny we're talking about Texas shows. Like I heard that you used to come and see shows at the Hobby Center growing up. Is that true?
Yes. So I'm from Rockport, Texas, which is a town of like 10,000 people on the Gulf Coast. It's 3 hours south of Houston.
Wow.
And I grew up, I started my journey into musicals and theater when I was like 6 years old, or when I did my first production of The Wizard of Oz. And my mom and my grandma made a point to drive me 3 hours to Houston so I could see shows at the Hobby Center and the Wortham Center. I remember very vividly seeing a production of Cinderella, and this was at the Hobby Center, I believe, yeah, around the time that the Brandy, like the iconic, the Cinderella, Rodgers and Hammerstein with Brandy and Whitney Houston were there. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, it's the Prince, because I believe Pablo, the guy who, the actor that played him in that Brandy version, was actually in that tour. I have no idea if that's true. It could have been an actor that looked similar, but to me, that was real life magic. Like, there on stage in front of me. It was so special. And so 3 years ago at this point, when Jersey Boys, my first time around with the tour, came to the Hobby Center, I mean, I set foot on that stage and it was, I had a little misty thinking about it. It was just a very full circle, like a very special moment for 6-year-old Connor coming to the present and, you know, like returning. It just, you know, every dream that I held starting since age 6 years old is kind of coming to fruition. And every time I come back, it's the same kind of like magic, that same kind of sparkle.
That is absolutely incredible, because, you know, it's funny. It's like, you know, for you, you were probably starting that circle for somebody else sitting in the audience who's watching this and just blown away. That's crazy.
I thank you for saying that. I think about that all of the time. And that there will be little girls, young women who come to the stage door, you know, to say hi, to get an autograph. And I always think like, oh my gosh, I was this little girl. And, you know, shows are exhausting there. It's short of 3 hours and the road is tiresome. So it would be very easy to be like, hi, let's go. But no, I think about the, you know, the grace that was offered to me by future past actors and by my mom and my grandma. And it would be the honor of my life to inspire another young woman to do the same.
I absolutely love that. I really do, because you know what, is going to stick with a lot of people. And, you know, there's a lot of times that like you said, it's a long show. People are on the road and you just want to just ready to go back and relax and unwind. But it's definitely appreciated for you guys that take the time to meet the fans and show that you're happy that they're there.
It's a culture actually that amongst the whole cast of Jersey Boys. I mean, the gentlemen that play the Four Seasons, you know, John Hacker, Eric Chambliss, Matt Fauché, and Devin Goffman, they take that time and they go out of their way to take that time. We're able to do it now, a little bit, because a lot of times stage doors outdoor. We weren't able to earlier in the tour because COVID was so bad. And it's kind of touch and go in terms of like how things are surging with the latest variant, but when they're able to, they absolutely take the time. And they've set a really great example for the rest of the cast, just being kind and generous with time, because what we do as actors only matters if there are people who want to hear the story. You know, we just want to connect with other humans.
Absolutely.
And they do a great job of that.
I know Houston is excited that you guys are back in town. Before we run out of time here, why do you think people need to come out and see Jersey Boys at the Hobby Center?
I mean, why not? Honestly, I've thought about this before. I mean, you've got 2 Houston natives in the show, myself and I mean, I lived and worked in Houston for 2 years outside of college or after college. Houston was where I got my start in theater professionally. Alec Michael Ryan, who plays Gyp DeCarlo, he grew up in Klein. So he's a Houston native returning home. And I know this is his first time playing the Hobby Center. So I know that he's having a very similar, like, full circle moment. But then you've got the actual musical itself. Like we said, the music's iconic. It's catchy. It's It gives you so much joy. It's a good time. It's fun. My family has seen the show 5, 6 times at this point, and they always say, like, Connor, it doesn't get old. Like, it's still a good time. And then you've got a story of the all-American rags to riches. These men, started from very humble beginnings, and they are literally international superstars. And that is a story of hope that I think everyone can relate to and everyone needs right now, but especially, but always.
I love that. I love that so much. Well, Connor, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today.
Yes, thank you.
Guys, go out, check out Jersey Boys. It is playing May 10th through the 22nd at the Hobby Center. Tickets are available at tuts.com. And you will absolutely love this show. You will have a good time. You're going to laugh. You're going to cry. And you're probably going to drive all the way home singing these songs. So go and say hi to Connor. We will see you guys next time. Thank y'all so much for watching.
Yes.
And this has been Ray with the Houston Film Fanatics, and we'll see you guys next time.
Sometimes you read in the credits on a movie based on a true story. Well, this is based on a true story, but it also is based on a good story.